By the end of this video, you will be able to open VS Code on your system but use the RAM and the CPU of a powerful virtual server. This way, you can have access to as many resources as you want without making any changes to your hardware. But let's see what can be the issues of local development. And by local development, I mean using your own RAM and CPU. For me, the most important reason is that I don't have enough RAM and CPU for some tasks. Companies are upgrading their hardwares each year and it's hard for me to keep up and change my laptop each year. On the other hand, I want to do some tasks on different operating systems. For example, I want a different distribution of Linux for some tasks or Windows for some tasks. And it's not that viable to change the whole laptop just for a task. However, when I have a virtual server, with a few clicks, I can upgrade the RAM, I can upgrade the CPU, I can upgrade the storage, I can change the operating system, and that will be really easy for me. So in this video, we're going to create an Amazon server, connect to it using our VS Code, and use the processing power of that server. Everything will be the same. You will still open VS Code in your own system, but VS Code will use the resources on the virtual server. Amazon EC2 servers are virtual servers that you can rent, and you can easily upgrade or downgrade them. This is an important feature because we also pay for the compute time that we use, and this means that these servers are not going to be that expensive. So all you have to do is to go to Amazon AWS website. We need to click on sign into the console. If you don't have an account, all you have to do is to sign up to the website and enter your information. When you log into the website, you would see a page like this. In this page, you have some links to some useful sections of the website. What we need here is EC2. You need to click on EC2, and here you would see a list of your instances if you have some instance, or a list of your key pairs, which we use to connect to our servers using SSH, and also the amount of instances that we have here. So to create an instance, you should either click on this button here, launch instance, or go to the instance page and then create an instance. So I'm just going to launch an instance. In the name section, you can enter a name for your server. Here, you need to select your application and OS images. Most of the user probably would choose Ubuntu, but you can choose other systems as well. They have, I think, Mint and other distribution of Linux. So I'm just going to choose Ubuntu, and here you can also choose the version of Ubuntu. You can choose the latest version or version 22 or Ubuntu Pro. It's your choice. So we're going to stick to latest version of Ubuntu, which is 24, and it's also free tier eligible. The free tier allows you to use a limited amount of resources for free, but if you pass that amount of resources, you will be charged. On the instant type section, you can choose the amount of RAM and CPU that you want your server to have. If you look at the servers, you can see that the amount of RAM is different from half of gigabyte of RAM to probably 200 gigabytes of RAM, I'm not sure. But this config here, 1 gigabyte of memory and one virtual CPU, this one is free tier. I don't think that there are other free tier ones, but you can also check. If this one is suitable for you, you can choose this one. If not, then you can choose other servers. And you can see the price here, that if your server is an Ubuntu or a Linux one, so for example, for this one, you will be charged 42 cents per hour. For now, we're going to stick with the free tier one. The key pair section is important for you because you use this key pair to connect to your server. You can also connect to your server without a key, but that's not recommended because that is not really secure. So you click on the create new pair, enter your name here, and then leave the other options as default and click on the create key pair. It'll download your private key file. I'm going to save this file in my SSH folder of my user file. So now that you have saved this file, you can proceed, and in this section, you can either allow a certain IP to your server or you can allow all the IPs. If you have a static IP, then it's a good choice to allow only your IP. But if you're not sure about your IP, then it would be either safe to allow a range of IPs or all IPs. In this section, you can choose the amount of storage that you want to have. But remember that up to 30 gigabytes of storage, it's free. So you can choose whatever storage that you want. For now, we will just enter 5, which is not the minimum, and we would choose 8. You can also add new volumes to your server as well. And now when everything is ready, you can click on Launch Instance. Now that you have our instance, our work with Amazon is done for now, and we need to get back to VS Code. Now, the next thing that you need to do is to open your Visual Studio Code and then install the Remote SSH extension. So from this part, I'm going to install the Remote SSH extension. It also comes with the whole remote development pack. You can install this one as well. It also has the remote SSH, but for now, I'm going to install only the remote SSH one. Once the extension is installed, on the bottom left corner of your VS Code, click on this green icon, which is responsible for your remote connections. The first option is connect to a host. So you click on this, and then because you haven't configured any SSH host yet, you need to click on add a new SSH host or configure the SSH host. So we're going to do this and then edit our config file. So for this file, we need a certain format of the data. We need to go back to our instances on Amazon AWS. So this is our instance here. Our instance is currently running, as you can see. And you need to select it and then click on connect. Here you can see different options for connecting to this server. What we need here is the server address. Using this public DNS, you can connect to your server using VS Code. You can also see the other options to connect to your server. For example, this one, Instant Connect, you can connect to your server using a web console. Now that you have the public DNS, we need to enter the details in the config file. Just enter the details like this: host, host name, user, and identity type. The host name is your address, and the name here can be anything. And the address here is your public DNS. We copy this address, paste it here, and the user is always Ubuntu if you have choose the Ubuntu server there. And this is the location of your private key file. So if you remember, we put it in the SSH folder and the name of the file is server. So we save this, and then again from this icon, we go to connect to a host, but this time we choose the remote development server. So here it asks that what platform is this one, and we know that it's a Linux. And then it asks us if we want to add the fingerprint. So apparently there is something wrong with the public key, so we need to check the config file again. And I think that I should add this dot before the SSH folder name, and I think right now I should be good to go. A Linux system, and the fingerprint has already been added. And as you can see, it is now connected to the server. And you can see the name of the server here. If you want to manage the files, just click on the Explorer on VS Code and click on Open Folder. And then you will see a list of the files in your server. You can also see the other files like in the home directory or the root directory. It doesn't matter. Then we choose the default directory and open that directory. So here we have our files and we can now start coding. If you have bought your server from other websites, then the process is the same, and all you need to do is to just add the information of the server address, username, and the authentication file. So by using remote development, you can upgrade your RAM and CPU at any time that you want really easily with a good cost. You can develop your code anywhere that you want, but you still need to have your authentication via yourself and watch out for the security risks. Let us know in the comments that if you have ever tried remote development or if you want to.